some of them really are ridiculous. I mean, for example, Augustus Gloop, who is well known as the gluttonous child in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he has been changed. He's not fat anymore. He's enormous, but I think we all know he's not tall. Um, Miss Trunchbull, the terrifying teacher from Matilda, she used to be described as having a horsey face. Now it's just a face. And Roald Dahl's not even allowed to offend tortoises anymore because in Ezio Trot, tortoises can only read backwards. And in the original, that's because they're very backward creatures. Now they just read backwards just because they couldn't possibly offend tortoises and call them backward creatures. So yeah, there have been a lot of very silly changes, I think, made to this.
Laura, we spoke to a sensitivity reader yesterday who said they advise, but the publishers choose. Why would the publishers choose something that feels so out of step with public opinion?
Well, I suppose they misjudged public opinion for one thing. They put a note at the start of the new editions saying that they're updating the words to match them with what contemporary readers believe, or something to that substance. And I think they wholeheartedly believed that removing what they consider to be offensive references to weight, gender, race, mental health, all sorts of things. They felt that was the right thing to do, but I think judging by the public response, they've got that one wrong.
Where is the pressure, though, do you think, that these publishers are under? Where is it coming from? Does this show that they're packed with groupthink in their offices and full of the same types of people?
I think there's definitely an element of that, yes. I mean, it's not as if Roald Dahl himself is without controversy. He was famously a very nasty man. He was a racist, he was misogynistic, he was anti-Semitic. We know that he's a nasty man, and people have pointed out the sort of nasty parts of his books before. So it's not like it's come out of nowhere. But I think this is definitely an overreaction to this and an overstep, and that the response to that is not to go back and rewrite what has already been written, but to see it in a new light. And I think, parents themselves, even when they're reading things out to children, sometimes self-censor. I don't think there's any need to go back into the text and to change things. And if we start doing that, then we'll have to change all sorts of things.
Unless it's overtly racist, unless there are words used which we no longer use, or comparisons used which are out of date and which would be struck off any text, Laura, right? So they're
exactly, yes. And Dahl's editors worked with him at the time. He did originally put in things which were overtly racist, and Dahl's editors very rightly worked with him at the time to make sure that he removed those. And there are certainly instances where that is important. I'm not in any way arguing against that, but I think that from the examples that we've read out, that's not an example of those sorts of truly offensive things.